in the neon-drenched city of Pylon. Ruled with an iron fist by the tyrannical Regent Soul. Energy was Life Soul, controlled every spark, every watt, leaving the masses shivering in the perpetual twilight of his oppression. Zane, a former soldier haunted by a past he couldn't outrun. Aledi the Sunfire Rebellion, a ragtag group of freedom fighters. Their daring raids on energy convoys, while successful in providing temporary relief, were mere skirmishes in a war against an overwhelming foe. Zane's face, etched with the grim lines of countless battles, was a familiar symbol of defiance for the downtrodden. One moonless night, a contact led Zane to Kira, a brilliant but disillusioned scientist working in a hidden government facility. Kira had uncovered a horrifying truth. Project Chimera, an experiment to weaponize the very energy Soul hoarded. The project, nearing completion, threatened to not only enslave humanity, but extinguish it entirely. Kira, her eyes wide with fear and determination, presented Zane with a choice. Destroy Project Chimera and risk everything, or flee and leave humanity to its fate. Commander Vasol's brutal enforcer was always one step behind Zane. Voss, a man whose ambition burned brighter than any power, Cell, saw Zane as a mere pawn in a larger game of power. He believed that capturing Zane would not only cripple the rebellion, but also elevate his own standing with the Regent. His relentless pursuit pushed Zane and his team to their limits, forcing them to make daring escapes across treacherous rooftops and through the city's underbelly. Lena, a young revolutionary, whose family had suffered under Saul's regime, found inspiration in Zane's defiance. She was a master strategist, providing invaluable assistance in planning and executing the Sunfire raids. Lena's unwavering belief in Zane's cause strengthened his resolve and gave him the courage to confront the overwhelming threat of Project Chimera. The final raid was a desperate gambit. Zane, Kira, and Lena, along with a handful of rebels, infiltrated the heavily guarded facility where Project Chimera was housed. The ensuing battle was a whirlwind of laser fire and desperate hand-to-hand combat. Voss and his troops fought with the ferocity of cornered animals, knowing that failure would mean their own demise. In the heart of the facility, Zane faced Voss in a final showdown. Their clash a symbolic struggle for the fate of Pylon. Zane, using his tactical prowess and the element of surprise, managed to disable Project Chimera. The facility shuddered as the unstable energy core collapsed. But not before Zane, Kira, and Lena managed to escape. The victory was hard-won, but it was a victory nonetheless. The Sunfire Rebellion had dealt a devastating blow to Soul's regime, and the stolen energy cells, distributed across the city, brought a flicker of hope to the oppressed masses. The moon cast long shadows across the ravaged fields as Tristan the Midnight Rider adjusted his mask. His midnight black armor, a stark contrast to the pale moonlight, reflected the grim determination in his eyes. He was a knight, exiles for speaking truth to a tyrannical king. Now a phantom of justice, stealing from the corrupt and giving to the poor. Tonight's target, Lord Elmsworth's overflowing granary. a symbol of the king's cruelty. Leaving the peasantry to starve, he dismounted silently. His steed, a magnificent black stallion named Shadowfax, remaining perfectly still. The granary's heavy wooden doors creaked open under his practice touch, revealing sacks overflowing with grain. Tristan worked swiftly, filling his saddlebags and leaving behind a single silver coin, a mark of his defiance, not theft. News of the Midnight Rider had reached King Theodore's ears, and he dispatched his most ruthless warlord, Cain, a hulking brute known for his merciless cruelty. Cain, clad in gleaming plate armor, surveyed the countryside with a cold, calculating gaze, his eyes burning with a desire for vengeance. He had tracked Tristan to the outskirts of Oak Haven, a small village nestled beside a whispering forest, his men grim-faced and battle-hardened, spread out searching for any sign of the elusive rider. Meanwhile, in the royal court, Lady Eleanor, a secret ally of the Midnight Rider, watched with a mixture of fear and hope. She had been providing Tristan with information, risking her life to aid his cause. Her heart pounded as she saw a lone raven land on her windowsill, its leg bearing a small scroll, a message from Tristan. He was planning a daring raid on the king's treasury, believing it held the key to bringing down the oppressive regime. The clash came under the cover of a stormy night. Lightning illuminated the scene as Tristan and Cain faced each other, their weapons clashing in a furious ballet of steel. Cain, with his brute strength, pressed the attack, but Tristan, agile and swift, parried every blow, his movements fluid and precise. The battle raged a whirlwind of steel and shadow, each blow carrying the weight of their opposing ideals. Father Gregory, observing from a distance, prayed for Tristan's safety, his faith a beacon of hope in the darkness. As the storm reached its peak, Tristan, using his superior agility, managed to disarm Cain. He stood over his fallen enemy, his mask concealing his emotions. Instead of killing him, he spared Cain's life, leaving him bound and gagged as a warning to the king. Tristan's raid on the treasury was successful, and the stolen wealth was distributed among the starving populace. Word of Tristan's mercy and courage spread like wildfire, inspiring hope in the hearts of the oppressed. The king, weakened by the loss of his treasury and the growing unrest, eventually agreed to negotiate a more just rule. The neon glow of Neo Kyoto painted Leon's face in shifting hues. As he navigated the city's underbelly, his fingers a blur across the keyboard, danced through firewalls, bypassing security protocols with an almost supernatural grace. He was a ghost in the machine, a phantom of the digital world, stealing from the fat cats and giving to the starving masses. Tonight's target, Omnicorp, the city's most ruthless corporation. His objective was simple: drain their offshore accounts, rerouting the funds to anonymous relief organizations scattered throughout the city's decaying lower levels. He'd done this countless times before. Each successful hack, a small victory against the oppressive system that choked the life out of Neo Kyoto. But this time felt different. Deeper within Omnicorp's network, hidden behind layers of encryption, far more complex than anything he'd encountered before, lay a hidden database curiosity, a dangerous trait for a rogue hacker. Lead him to investigate. The database contained a chilling truth. Omnicorp wasn't just exploiting the city's resources. They were actively manipulating its very infrastructure, subtly destabilizing the lower levels to maintain their control. The evidence was irrefutable. A carefully crafted plan to keep the masses impoverished, independent. Leon felt a cold dread creep into his heart. This wasn't just about stealing money anymore. It was about exposing a conspiracy that could unravel the entire city. He quickly downloaded the data, knowing he had to get it to someone who could make it public. Mira, a cyber surgeon and his closest ally, was his only hope. He contacted her through a heavily encrypted channel, his voice tight with urgency. Myra, ever practical, advised caution. This is bigger than us, Leon. Getting this out will put a target on your back, bigger than ever before. But Leon was resolute. He had to expose the truth, even if it meant risking everything. Meanwhile, Agent Riker, a relentless investigator with a personal vendetta against Leon, was closing in years of chasing the phantom hacker, had honed his instincts, and he sensed Leon was onto something big. Riker's obsession wasn't just about capturing Leon. It was about maintaining the status quo, preserving a system he believed, however flawed, was essential to prevent total societal collapse. He knew Leon's actions, though seemingly righteous, were dangerously destabilizing. Leon aware of Riker's pursuit. Met Mira in a deserted warehouse district. He transferred the data, a digital time bomb, ready to detonate the carefully constructed facade of Neo Kyoto. As they worked, alarms blared. Riker's forces had infiltrated the warehouse. A fierce firefight ensued. Myra, using her cybernetic skills, fought alongside Leon, patching his wounds and providing crucial tactical support. They were outmatched, but their determination burned bright in the neon-lit chaos. Under the cloak of a moonless night, Elric the Shadow Thief scaled the walls of Lord Valdric's fortress. His movements were fluid, silent, as a whisper in the wind tonight. He wasn't after gold, but information. Lady Saline, his unlikely ally, waited within a hidden passage, leading to the heart of the tyrant's stronghold. Saline, her face illuminated by the faint glow of a candle, handed Elric a rolled parchment. It detailed Valdric's plan. A grand trap for the Black Falcon, the masked rebel who had become a symbol of hope for the oppressed villagers. The Black Falcon, a phantom figure, was Elric himself. His daring raids on Imperial convoys had earned him both fear and adoration. But Valdric, a man whose cruelty knew no bounds, was determined to crush the rebellion. His trap was elaborate, a lavish feast designed to lure the Falcon. Surrounded by his elite guard, Reeve Garrick leading the charge, Elric knew he had to act fast. He left the fortress, his mind racing. He couldn't simply avoid the trap. He needed to turn it against Valdric. He sought out his network of informants, the whispers in the shadows, the eyes and ears of the city's underbelly. He discovered a weakness in Valdric's plan. The feast location, a remote villa, was vulnerable to a surprise attack. from the nearby forests under the cover of darkness. Elric rallied his supporters. They were a ragtag bunch farmers, blacksmiths and former soldiers, united by their hatred of Aldrich. Celine, with her influence and resources, secured the necessary supplies. As dawn broke, they moved towards the villa. Silent shadows creeping through the trees. The feast was in full swing. Valdric, surrounded by his guards, reveled in his apparent victory. Garrick, ever vigilant, scanned the horizon, unaware of the danger closing in. Elric's forces launched their attack. The element of surprise was complete. Confusion reigned as Valdric's guards were overwhelmed. Garrick, caught off guard, fought bravely, but he was no match for the combined strength and fury of the rebels. Elric confronted Valdric, their blades clashing in a whirlwind of steel. The fight was fierce, a dance of death under the pale moonlight, with a final decisive strike. Elric disarmed Valdric, the tyrant defeated and humiliated, was left at the mercy of the villagers he had oppressed for so long. The Black Falcon had struck again, not just stealing wealth, but freedom itself. The victory was hard won, but the oppressed now had a glimmer of hope, a testament to the courage of those who dared to defy tyranny. After his family was falsely accused of treason and executed, Elric, once a respected knight, vanished. He resurfaced as the Shadow Thief, a phantom outlaw whose exploits became legendary. His targets, the corrupt nobles who thrived on the kingdom's suffering. He stole not for a personal gain, but to expose their crimes, leaving behind only a single obsidian playing card. His calling card. His methods were as elusive as his identity. He moved like a whisper in the night, leaving no trace but the chilling knowledge of their exposed hypocrisy. Lady Celine, a high-born aristocrat, with auburn hair and piercing green eyes, secretly aided Elric, bound by a shared sense of justice and a burning desire for revenge. She provided him with information, safe houses, and the occasional distraction. A beautiful, deadly diversion that kept the guards off balance. A noble birth afforded her access to information that would have been impossible for Alaric to obtain, alone their greatest target. Lord Valdric, the tyrannical king, whose cruelty and greed had plunged the kingdom into darkness. Valdric, surrounded by sycophants and shielded by an army of loyal guards, seemed invincible, but Elric had a plan. A daring scheme to expose Valdric's deepest secrets. Secrets that would shatter his power and reveal the extent of his treachery. The plan was audacious, bordering on suicidal. But the stakes were too high to back down. Reeve Garrick, the kingdom's most feared officer, relentlessly pursued the Shadow Thief, a seasoned warrior with an unwavering belief in law and order. He saw Elric as a dangerous criminal, a threat to the very fabric of the kingdom. Garrick was methodical, relentless, and utterly dedicated to capturing Elric. No matter the cost, he was a skilled tracker, and he was getting closer. The final confrontation took place during Valdric's lavish birthday celebration. Amidst the glittering opulence and masked revelers, Elric infiltrated the castle, Lady Celine providing a crucial diversion. He moved through the shadows, his every step calculated. His movements precise, the heist was perilous. One wrong move could mean death. He reached Valdric's private vault, where the king's most damning secrets were kept. Proof of his treachery, his corruption, his crimes against the kingdom. Elric retrieved the evidence. Just as Garrick burst into the room, a fierce battle ensued. A clash of steel and skill. Under the watchful eyes of the oblivious revelers, Elric, wounded but resourceful, managed to escape with the incriminating documents, leaving Garrick to face the wrath of the now exposed Valdric. The stolen documents were revealed to the public, sparking outrage and rebellion. Valdric's reign of terror ended, and the kingdom began its slow journey towards healing. Elric, once again a phantom, vanished into the shadows, his identity remaining a mystery. In the shadow of Lord Valdric's tyrannical reign, Elric, once a knight of the realm, now moved like a phantom falsely accused of treason. He had witnessed his family's execution, a brutal act that ignited a fire within him. Now, as the Shadow Thief, he was a whisper in the darkness, a phantom who exposed the corrupt nobles. His targets were their secrets and treasures, redistributed to the impoverished citizens. Lady Saline, a noblewoman with fiery, auburn hair and sharp green eyes, secretly aided his rebellion. Her outward demeanor, a mask for her unwavering determination. She provided safe houses and information, a vital link between Elric and the oppressed. Reeve Garrick, a relentless hunter and Valdric's most trusted officer, vowed to capture Elric. He was a man of unwavering discipline, his pursuit relentless, fueled by a rigid belief in law and order. Garrick set a trap, a lavish masquerade ball, a glittering spectacle designed to lure Elric. Saline, playing her part flawlessly, informed Elric of the ball. She suspected a trap, but believed the opportunity to expose Valdric's corruption was too great to pass up Elric. Ever cautious, prepared for the worst, he donned his signature black cloak, its shadows concealing his movements, his sharp blade hidden beneath the fabric. The ball was a whirlwind of silk and deceit. Valdric, his face hidden behind a charming smile, watched from his throne, his eyes like chips of ice. Garrick, positioned strategically, waited for the Shadow Thief to reveal himself. Elric, observing from the shadows, saw the trap, a perfectly orchestrated snare. He noticed the hidden passage, a secret escape route only known to a select few, including Saline as the night wore on. Elric made his move, using his agility and cunning to evade Garrick's men. He moved like a shadow, his presence barely felt. Yet his actions were decisive and deadly. He subtly replaced Valdric's wine with a harmless but embarrassing concoction. Then, utilizing his knowledge of the hidden passage, he disappeared into the city's underbelly, leaving behind a trail of exposed secrets. Had a thoroughly humiliated king. The next morning, Valdric's reputation was in tatters, his authority shaken. The people witnessing the king's humiliation saw a glimmer of hope. Elric, although still a fugitive, had once again struck a blow against the tyrant. The game was far from over. But the Shadow Thief had proven that even the darkest shadows could cast a light on truth.